Good evening and Happy New Year. Welcome back to Altos, your weekly Catholic news program done in collaboration with Trinity TV. This is our first program for the year and we hope that you stay with us this and every Friday. Here's a look at this week's top stories. The nation mourns former Prime Minister Basdev Pandey. A call from the Catholic Charismatic Renewal Conference for Catholics across the Caribbean to become a catalyst for spiritual revival. The new school term has begun, but there are issues at some primary schools. We provide an update on one of them. A Caribbean bishop is laid to rest. And for those still unclear about the Pope's declaration on blessings of non-traditional relationships, we will have on set Father Donald Chambers, General Secretary of the Antilles Episcopal Conference, to offer some clarification. Here's a look now at our top stories. The main news story this week has been the state funeral for former Prime Minister Basdev Pandey. Videographer Dale Sideno was in San Fernando for the funeral, and Catholic News editor Raymond Sims prepared this report.
The nation's fifth Prime Minister died on New Year's Day at the age of 90 in a Florida hospital. After days of national mourning, the state funeral was held on Tuesday, January 9th at the Southern Academy for the Performing Arts in San Fernando. President Christine Kangaloo, Chief Justice Ivor Archie, and Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley headed a long list of invited dignitaries at the funeral, which was held under Hindu rites. Leaders of faith-based organizations offered prayers, including Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon.
Theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, they shall be comforted. Blessed are those who thirst and hunger for justice and righteousness, they shall be satisfied. Father, you put the impulse in the human heart to struggle, to search for truth, for justice, for a better nation and a better people. We thank you for this beloved citizen, former Prime Minister, Labour leader of our land. We thank you for his impulse and his response to your desire and your call to struggle for righteousness, for the worker, for the marginalized, for those on the fringe of our society, and to struggle also to move our nation to be a nation of justice and peace, of harmony and of truth. We ask, O Father, that as we mourn his passing, that you will stir in the hearts of those of us in this nation to struggle for what is right, for what is true, for the worker, for the migrant, for those on the margins, and also to respond to your call always to work for a better country and a better land. We ask, Father, that you will give to the family and friends of our former Prime Minister the peace that they need and the consolation that they need as they mourn, that as they mourn, that they may be comforted. Amen.
The past students of Presentation College San Fernando, where Pandey attended for his secondary education, paid tribute on January 4th to the 1985 Past Student of the Year. Former President Anthony Carmona, himself a past student, stated his wish that the authorities consider presenting the Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the ORTT, posthumously to Pandey. I am Raymond Sims for Catholic News Altos.
And we here at Altos offer sincerest condolences as well to the Pandey family. The new school term started last week with protests by parents of pupils of the St. Dominic's RC Penal who were housed at a community centre. Lara Pickford Gordon gives us an update on the situation.
Further protests by the PTA of St. Dominic's RC was averted after a meeting between Ministry of Education, school officials and others on Tuesday, January 9th. Parish priest of St. Dominic's RC Church, Father Robert Christo, said it was a very fruitful stakeholder meeting.
Scope of work has been defined for all the repairs identified by the teachers and the PTA and some of the students, and has been awarded So that looks very good. Work has begun, and the latest date is Friday, the 9th of February. They claim it should come in a week before, but we have put that date.
Father Christos said that the repairs on the community center will be monitored for the duration. In the interim, alternative arrangements will be made for the classes.
Standard 3, 4, and 5 should go at the Penal Rock Central School, and the 1 and 2 hopefully will go to the Fire Services Training Center. They're very close by. The logistics are being worked out. The PTA leader has been appraised.
President of the PTA, Sharon Batiste, said some parents want to keep their children at home while repairs are going on. They are skeptical of the arrangements made.
They would like to know at least something in writing stating that, the school itself is going to have something is going to start. At least, the demolition of the building or, work is going to start, so that at least they will know that, it's not just that they fix the community center and they'll send our children back there.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Catholic Education Board of Management, Sharon Mangru, appealed for donors to support a new St. Dominic's RC school.
We would be very, very happy if there's any generous donor that will assist us in putting a temporary structure on that site. We will need to stabilize the slope and to put a structure so that the children can be housed all together in one school.
I am Lara Pickford-Gordon for Catholic News, Altos.
We will have another schools update in our next program. Last weekend's 24th Catholic Charismatic Renewal Caribbean Conference at the Center of Excellence became a catalyst for spiritual revival. Here's a report prepared by Catholic News reporter Kaylan Jordan.
Themed Evangelize, Spread the Good News. The three-day conference featured presentations focused on Matthew 28, verse 19 to 20. In her talk titled Family Evangelization or Oikos, Sister Deborah DeRosier, the CCR coordinator, challenged participants to reflect on their oikos and consider the people within it. Oikos is a Greek word for household.
Is your oikos like Cornelius's oikos? Is your oikos like the tax collector Levi's oikos? Or is your oikos like this man who was demon-possessed?
Drawing parallels with the early church scrolls, DeRosier highlighted Jesus instructing the demon-possessed man in Luke 8 to return to his oikos, resulting in many people believing. Expressing concerns about the current state of the church, DeRosier emphasized the need for care and fellowship, especially in addressing challenges like death, illness, and unemployment in smaller groups, creating a sense of oikos within the community.
The big parishes cannot care for each individual, but we can care in our oikos. We can care in our cells. We can care in our small groups. We can build the relationships that we need to build.
This year's conference saw delegations of various sizes from Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, Dominica, Antigua, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Jamaica, Grenada, Guyana, U.S. Virgin Islands, Canada, USA, and Suriname. I am Kaylan Jordan for Catholic News, Altos.
Pope Francis has declared that a child must never be the basis of a commercial contract, as he called on the international community to prohibit the practice of surrogate pregnancies universally. His condemnation came during his annual foreign policy speech to the ambassadors of over 180 countries accredited to the Holy See. Describing the practice of surrogacy as deplorable, the Pope said the path for peace begins with respect for every human life, including both mother and the child.
Ritengo desprecabile la pratica della cosiddetta maternità surrogata che lede gravemente la dignità della donna e del figlio. Essa è fondata sullo sfruttamento di una situazione di necessità materiale della madre. Un bambino è sempre un dono e mai l'oggetto di un contratto.
The Vatican's doctrinal office allows for children of same-sex couples born through surrogacy to be baptized in the Catholic Church, as long as there is a well-founded hope that the child will be educated in the Catholic faith. In what is called his annual State of the World address, the pontiff also highlighted the situation in war-torn countries, lamenting that the distinction between military and civil objectives is no longer respected. He said, "There is no conflict that does not end in some way indiscriminately striking the civilian population." A little closer home now, the Diocese of Belize City and Belmopan bid a heartfelt farewell to Bishop Lawrence Nicasio, a man well remembered for his humility, faithfulness, and a radiant smile that lit up the lives of those around him. Bishop Nicasio died on January 1 and was laid to rest in a moving ceremony at Our Lady of Guadalupe Co-Cathedral in Belmopan on Tuesday, January 9th. Here's more from Kayla and Jordan.
Father Jordan Gongoria, a close associate and friend, shared heartfelt reflections on the bishop's life. He emphasized the primary goal was to have the bishop return home to say goodbye to those he held dear, especially his family and his hometown, Dangriga. Bishop Nicasio underwent surgery in July 2022 at Regina Clery, a home for retired priests in the Archdiocese of St. Louis, Missouri, to remove a blockage of the colon which was found to be cancerous.
He was at peace. Bishop knew his end of life is near. He was at peace, especially the last hours. I gave him the last rites on Sunday before he passed. He received communion. The bishop went very well.
Meanwhile, Bishop John Passad of the Diocese of Mandeville, Jamaica, conveyed condolences on behalf of the Antilles Episcopal Conference President, Archbishop Jason Gordon. The Archbishop said Bishop Nicasio willingly integrated himself into the fraternity of bishops of the Antilles Episcopal Conference. The Archbishop said Bishop Nicasio's vibrant spirit, pastoral sensitivity, and deep concern for Belize and the Caribbean have left an indelible memory among the bishops of the conference.
Let us therefore mourn together and celebrate together. Lawrence Sidney Nicasio, this Caribbean servant of God, has been relieved of his earthly suffering and now rejoices with Christ. Well done, good and faithful servant.
I am Kayla Jordan for Catholic News, Altos.
And in some more Caribbean news, the administrator of the cathedral in Antigua has described regional music artists as gifted people of God and not agents of the devil. Father Williams was speaking at the time to soca artists present at the funeral service for Antiguan singer Ricardo Drew, who died on December 12th. The funeral was held on January 9th at the Holy Family Cathedral in St. John's, Antigua. During his homily, Father Williams said some Christians did not understand creation and culture and saw the world as having predominantly fallen into sin.
Thus one must protect oneself from affirmation of culture, things of creative, things of love, pleasure, sexuality, food, drinks. Hence, anyone enjoying life, partaking of the creative pleasure and entertainment of the world, such as calypsonians, reggae artists, and soca artists, are placed within that category as of the devil by some of our Christian brothers and sisters.
On the contrary, Father Williams said the world has given rise to great soca, calypso, and reggae singers, many of whom have resorted to only singing gospel music. He begged the artists present to continue performing in the world.
I want to urge and encourage you, brothers and sisters, in particular our artists who are here, continue to perform in the world created by God himself. Lest we forget God is the creator of goodness. God is the creator of beauty. God is the creator of love. God is the creator of fun. God is the creator of leisure. And as such, those endowed like you present here, Patrice, as you as well, with gifts and talents must be seen as playing a valuable role in our society.
Father George added that there must also be the recognition that the art forms can be improved upon as movements for societal change. It's time now for us to take a short break, but when we come back, we join with Father Donald Chambers, the General Secretary of the Antilles Episcopal Conference, as we talk a little bit more about that controversial statement from Pope Francis. Before we go, here's a look at this week's trivia question. Hopefully you can come up with the answer this time. Welcome back after the break. We have on set with us Father Donald Chambers, the General Secretary of the Antilles Episcopal Conference. And he's here to chat with us a bit about the document Fiducia Supplicans, which has generated quite a bit of controversy in dioceses around the world. Today's paper, for instance, saw a statement from the African bishops refusing to accept the statement. Many see it as a walking back on traditional church teaching with respect to the LGBTQI community. Some have even gone so far as to see it as a potential for schism within the Catholic Church, recalling the days of Vatican II. Father Don, welcome to the set, and we want you to walk us step by step through this document. What's its intent? What is the purpose behind this document? What does it say? And more importantly, what does it not say? Welcome to the set.
Thank you very much. Just to correct something you said in the introduction, the African bishops have not rejected the declaration. What they have done is that they have said that they will need time for further reflection and pastoral application because of the unique context of Africa. So their document from the beginning sets out that they are in a line with the Holy Father.
And therein lies the confusion, because what is reported in the media is often not what is contained in the statement. But please, take us through this document.
Yes. So first of all, let us look at the title of the document. So the title of the document is Fiducia Supplicans. What does that mean? The literal interpretation of that is asking for trust.
Okay.
So in the document, it makes a distinction between what is called a ritual blessing. And a ritual blessing, it says, is required. When a ritual blessing is done, the person who is blessed is required to conform to that blessing. And then it talks about non-ritual or spontaneous blessing. And it's interesting to say that the document says this, that the spontaneous blessings are simply gestures that provide an effective means of increasing trust in God on the part of the person who asks.
To ask for the blessing.
Hence the title, Fiducia Supplicans, literally means asking for trust, similar to what the disciples did in the scriptures when they said to Jesus, increase our faith. So this document is about increasing our trust. So let's go to what the document says. The document is based on a theological understanding that blessings is grounded in the incarnation. By virtue of God becoming human, God has blessed humanity. The second point it makes is that it talks about descending blessings, that is, blessings coming from God, and then ascending blessings. Third, it goes on to talk about that the church now is given the power to communicate God's blessing. So through the church, God blesses humanity. And then the document goes on to talk about blessings seeks. The person who seeks a blessing acknowledges that the life of the church springs from the womb of God's mercy. So when someone spontaneously asks for blessing, they should not be deprived of that. They should not be deprived of that. Blessings is free. And finally, the document then goes on to talk about concerns for couples who are in irregular unions and, of course, same-sex marriages. And it makes it very clear that one should neither provide for nor promote a liturgical blessing or a liturgical ritual for them because their situation does not conform to the teachings of the church. And it makes it very clear in the document the church's teachings on marriage between a man and a woman for the purpose of procreation. It is very, very clear. The document is very clear that the church does not accept same-sex union. It is very clear on that. However, what the heart of the document is saying is that if someone comes to you spontaneously after Mass or after a service and say, Father, can you bless me? We should not refuse that. That is a non-ritual, spontaneous blessing. Any blessing that is ritualized and takes place in the context of the liturgy, it should be conformed to the lifestyle or the teachings of the church.
Are we seeing then, Father Don, what an inclusive church really, really means now through this kind of statement by Pope Francis?
Oh, certainly. And this is in line with Pope Francis's pastoral approach from the very beginning. Pope Francis, since his papacy, the start of his papacy, has never challenged or attempted to change the teachings of the church on marriage. He has not. What Francis has been doing from the very beginning is saying that the church has to take a new pastoral approach. That is, how do you apply the teachings of the church to real life situations? When the proverbial tire hits the road, what happens? The church's doctrines are always objective. They speak in general. But when it comes to the application, how do you apply that? What Francis is saying, that it should be applied with mercy, with understanding. And so this declaration is in line with Francis's...
It's consistent with that.
Exactly.
Because we've heard phrases like the church must be a field hospital for all.
Exactly.
The church, the pastors must smell like the sheep.
Exactly, yes.
Those kinds of statements, and this, in fact, there is some consistency you see with that. So clearly now, has the church changed? Does this statement change the church's teachings on marriage?
Does not. Absolutely not. It does not change it. In the document, it makes very clear the church's position on marriage between a man and a woman.
Has this document, or does this document purport to change the church's teachings on same-sex relationships?
Absolutely not. The church's teachings on that has remained the same. It has been consistent. It has not attempted to, as some persons are arguing, that it's a backdoor way of wanting to accept same-sex marriages. Absolutely not, it has. And that is where the position of the African bishops have come. They have accepted the doctrinal teachings of this declaration. What they have asked the dicasteries for doctrine and faith to do is time to reflect deeply on the declaration.
Because the African bishops have spoken about the specific cultural context.
Exactly.
And I think that is one thing that Pope Francis has been very clear on in terms of the incarnation of the church wherever the church finds itself.
Exactly.
Yes? So their position then becomes consistent with that.
Exactly.
Yeah?
And so what they're asking for is time for deeper reflection. And it's not just the African church that is challenged for deeper reflection. All the conferences globally are invited to do so. And in fact, the bishops of the Antilles Episcopal Conference, through its president, has published an initial response, but the bishops intend to do a more detailed and comprehensive response, looking at the pastoral implications of this.
Is this giving life to what synodality really means?
Absolutely. synodality is about walking together. And the people of God is made up of bishops and priests and lay persons, everyone walking together, excluding none.
Father Don, this has been a very, very interesting discussion. The church is alive. The church continues to challenge us to full, active, and conscious participation. I would ask you for a blessing now, but we'll have more time for that at another time. Father Don, thanks very much for joining us on Altos, and we'll see you again at some
Blessings.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much for staying with us, and we will be back shortly.
Altos, from the Latin altus, meaning high. Every Friday night we feature the top news items hot off the press. We are taking a leap of faith on Trinity TV. Jump in with us for this new and exciting experience.
Thanks very much for staying with us. We have one of our priests celebrating their anniversary of ordination this week. That's Father Carlisle Giuseppe. We wish him all the best. And we invite you to join us up at Mount St. Benedict, celebrating with the seminarians for this event that's coming up on Friday the 19th. And Raymond Sims, editor of the Catholic News, gives us a preview of this week's edition.
In this week's issue of the Catholic News, look at the highlights of last weekend's Catholic Charismatic Renewal Caribbean Conference and read the inspirational talk given by Father Kingsley Asphalt from Jamaica. And with Carnival around the corner, get inspiration for better skin and hair care with our dietitian, Cherise Bronte-Tinque. I am Raymond Sims, editor of the Catholic News.
I'm going to have to take a read to look at my own nails. Remember to pick up a copy of yourself, for yourself, and for a friend this week. Thanks very much for tuning in to this first edition of Altos for 2024, and hopefully you'll join us every Friday as we journey through the rest of 2024. As we go, we leave you with a bit from the praise and worship session at the recent Charismatic Renewal Conference. Feel free to get up and join in the singing and dancing, and let's make a joyful noise unto the Lord. Have a good week, everyone.